What we'd like to do is establish a quorum. We have 7 bills on the file today. There are no bills proposed for the consent today. And also to accommodate one of our authors, we will hear one bill out of order and take up file item number 6, AB 1042 by Assemblymember Cooper first, as soon as he arrives. But we will establish a quorum. Please call the roll.
Hill?
Here.
Hill here. Bates? Here. Bates here. Berryhill? Block? Galgiani? Galgiani here. Hernandez? Here. Hernandez here. Jackson? Here. Jackson here. Mendoza? Here. Mendoza here. Wachowski.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. So we will await Assemblymember Hernandez. Very good. We were going to let Assemblymember Cooper go first, but if you're here and he's not, you're on.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Senators.
This is item number 7, AB 1508.
Yes, Assembly Bill 1508. This bill is aimed to address the underground economy and seeks to implement one recommendation from a recent Little Hoover Commission report. We all know that the underground economy is devastating to workers, legitimate employers, and the state treasury. In March 2015, the Little Hoover Commission released a report entitled Leveling the Playing Field, Put California's Underground Economy Out of Business. The report made numerous findings and recommendations. Among these, the Commission found that although numerous government organizations focus on tackling the underground economy, no one is directly in charge. Hardworking government employees do their best to combat the problem, but often with inadequate resources or the data or equipment to effectively do their jobs. There are 4 major state task forces focused on the underground economy, but it is not clear overall what the outcomes have been. The Commission recommended the governor appoint an independent leader in consultation with state leaders who have jurisdiction over the underground economy, with clear authority to untangle any overlaps in responsibilities, bridge silos, and move efficiently towards results. The Commission recommended that this leader should report back on administrative or legislative changes needed to overcome the obstacles. Consistent with the recommendation from the Little Hoover Commission report, AB 1508 requires the governor to designate an independent chief policy advisor for the underground economy. This advisor would evaluate our current efforts and make recommendations to the legislature and the governor. With that, I ask for your aye vote.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, members, Cesar Diaz on behalf of State Building and Construction Trades Council in support.
Very good. Thank you. Other witnesses in support? Other witnesses in opposition? Seeing no one, bring it back. Comments or questions from me? Yes. We have a motion from Senator Mendoza. Would you like to close, Senator?
I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Assemblymember. We have a motion from Senator Mendoza, due pass to Senate Appropriations Committee. Please call the roll.
Hill?
Aye.
Hill, aye. Bates? Aye. Bates, aye. Berryhill? Block? Galgiani? Aye. Galgiani, aye. Hernandez? Aye. Hernandez, aye. Jackson? Aye. Jackson, aye. Mendoza? Aye. Mendoza, aye. Wachowski? Wachowski, aye.
Think about it.
7. That bill has 7 votes. We're going to hold the roll open for the absent members, but it has enough to get out. Thank you, Assemblymember Hernandez. Great to see you. Assemblymember Cooper. Thank you. You were 30 seconds too late for that to be first. Welcome. This is item number 6, AB 1042. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. AB 1042 updates the definition of a proprietary private security officer to further professionalize the security guard industry and protect the general public. The intent of this bill is to ensure individuals providing security services are properly licensed, trained, and certified. The bill adds examples of security officer duties to ensure individuals employed by a business, such as a bar or restaurant, and who provide security services are not unlicensed. Additionally, proposed amendments are intended to clarify the definition of work week for private companies. I have Kelly Jensen on behalf of the California Association of Licensed Security Agencies, Guards, and Associates here to testify in support. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Chairman and members, Kelly Jensen representing CalSaga, which is the Security Guard Association. We are strongly in support of the bill. The bill closes a loophole in existing law which allows somebody to not wear a distinctive uniform but provide security services, thereby not having to comply with regulation or backgrounding requirements. As you know, the industry is very aggressive here in California to make sure that we continue to improve the industry. We're working with the chairman on his important bill as well. That's over in the Assembly. So we look forward to the passage of this bill and appreciate your support today.
Thank you, Mr. Jensen. Others in support? Are there witnesses in opposition? Seeing none, any comments, questions from the committee? Do we have a motion from Senator Jackson? We have a motion to support with the proposed author's amendments that I believe you've agreed
Yes,
to.
we accept
and
them.
to clarify the work week for purposes of employee payroll.
Correct.
It's very good. It's a great bill. So please call the roll.
Motion is due pass as amended to Rules Committee. Hill?
Aye.
Hill, I. Bates?
Aye.
Bates, I. Berryhill. Block?
Aye.
Block, I. Galgiani? Galgiani, I. Hernandez?
Aye.
Hernandez, I. Jackson? Jackson, I. Mendoza?
Aye.
Mendoza, I. Wachowski?
Aye.
Wachowski, I.
8. That bill has 8 votes, so we'll hold the roll open for the absent members. Thank you very much. Thank you. Assemblymember Melendez. Good afternoon. This is item number 1, AB 333. 333. No, you push it. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. I would like to start first by thanking the committee staff for working closely with my office, and I do accept the committee's amendments. AB 333 will allow medical professionals who are certified instructors in CPR and AED use to receive up to 2 additional education credits for volunteering to do this training for employees of K-12 and college districts. This incentive will result in school officials being more likely to use an AED in a real-world medical situation. I am proud to say that AB 333 is supported by the American Red Cross, and here to speak on behalf of this bill is Christy Woods from the American Red Cross.
Afternoon. Mr.
afternoon.
Chairman and members of the committee, my name is Christy Woods. I'm the Director of Government Relations for the American Red Cross here in California, and I'm here today in support of AB 333. As the nation's largest provider of CPR and AED training, we believe Californians will benefit greatly, lives will be saved if more people on campuses are trained. While training isn't a prerequisite for operating an AED, as always, we support the notion of preparedness. Every year, over 400,000 people experience sudden cardiac arrest outside of the hospital. About 4,000 of those are under 35, and then only 10% of the victims survive. Encouraging school employees to be prepared in time of emergency, including the use of an AED, can save lives. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Other witnesses in support? Are there witnesses in opposition? Seeing none. Senator Jackson.
Yes, a question. It says that we had opposition from the Board of Psychology and the Board of Behavioral Sciences. Has that been removed?
No, I don't believe it has been removed.
Oh,
yes. After the,
Right.
oh, it did remove the opposition. So the
Right.
amendments that we
We
worked on.
changed it to
last Friday.
address their concerns, so I believe their opposition has been removed or will be removed.
I was just curious
It
as
had
to
to do
what
with
that was.
opting in or
provision.
opting out, and they wanted it to be so that they would have to opt in order to provide these credits rather than the reverse. So we were happy to comply with that.
Great. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator Jackson. Other questions? Yes, Senator Wachowski.
Yeah, I was curious. I understand the benefit of learning how to do CPR, but one of the requirements is be able to teach CPR. Why is that valuable for these healing arts people to be teaching it versus just being skilled?
Well, I will answer that question, and then I will allow Christy to add on to that if she'd like. But this is a matter of having people who are qualified to train you or anyone else up there on the dais of how to use this type of equipment in the event of an emergency. So it's not just CPR, it's a use of an AED, a defibrillator. When you have fewer people who can teach others how to use it, you have fewer people who are going to be comfortable using that equipment when an emergency arises. And that's exactly what we are trying to avoid. So that would be why.
Okay, so I'm thinking that I'm the healing arts person, right? So you want me when I come in there and I'm looking to be healed, and they do something and help me.
If you were still in the assembly, we could help you with that,
No,
Senator
I'm just saying
Wojciechowski, but
that then they could teach a class on it versus just respond to the tragedy or whatever, the heart attack that was going on.
Well, and I would say too, generally what we see with people in places of business, that they come to the Red Cross or HART or other organizations to get the training, become instructors, then they can go out into their, what places of business or their, whatever their industry is. And so instead of, gathering people up and bringing them into the Red Cross, then, they are the instructor and they're already in the building or already with the organization. And it just makes it easier for, and more people would be willing to then get that training, which is what we're definitely looking for.
Mr. Chair, one more question.
Of course.
On page 2 of 4 in our handout, paragraph 1 says that they becoming a certified instructor of CPR or the proper use of AED. And then when we go down to the comments, the purpose, it's to becoming a licensed instructor in CPR and the proper use of AED. Is it or and? Okay. That's it.
Very good. Thank you, Senator Wojciechowski. Other questions, comments? Motion by Senator Mendoza. This is due pass, and you did agree to the amendments. Thank you very much, Assemblymember. The due pass is amended to the Senate Appropriations Committee. Thank you. Please call the roll.
Hill.
Aye.
Hill, I. Bates. Bates, I. Berryhill. Berryhill, I. Block. Block, I. Galgiani. Galgiani, I. Hernandez. Hernandez, I. Jackson. Jackson, I. Mendoza. Mendoza, I. Wachowski. Wachowski, I. 9-0.
9-0. That bill is out.
thank you very much, Mr. Chair and members.
Thank you very much. Assemblymember Ridley Thomas. Moving to item number 4, AB 808.
Exhaust fluid and glycerin.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair,
Good
colleagues.
afternoon.
I bring before you AB 808, which expands authority of the Department of Food and Agriculture to ensure that alternative motor vehicle fuels and automotive products as regulated in similar manner as traditional fuels and automotive products. This has been a part of a stakeholder process that started with another bill that I carried last year, AB 1907, which really modernizes our system for requiring documentation, rather not documentation, but the posting of signs for alternative fuels, and is a part of a broader energy conversation that I think we'll have in subsequent years. And we respectfully request your aye vote as this is a stakeholder-driven bill. The Food and Agriculture has a representative here to speak to the merits of the process and the bill if the committee has specific questions.
Very good. Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Chair members. Taylor Roshan, Legislative Manager at the Department of Food and Agriculture. We are the official sponsor of AB 808. The bill provides the department with the necessary regulatory authority to ensure that all motor vehicle fuels and products are regulated in an appropriate manner. This protects consumers from substandard products and ensures equity in the marketplace. Without these protections, the retail viability of these fuels will be compromised. Specifically, the bill allows the department to be responsive to the dynamic nature of the alternative fuels market. As new fuels are introduced, the department would have the ability to adopt fuel quality standards. It also allows for the implementation of uniform price and advertising and labeling requirements for conventional and alternative fuels. And finally, emerging alternative fuels provide energy security, economic and environmental benefits to the state. This bill is critical to allow us to meet our clean energy goals and facilitate the development of new technologies. So we appreciate your hearing today.
Very good. Thank you. Are there witnesses in support? Witnesses in opposition or between?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, Brian White here on behalf of the Western States Petroleum Association. We are neutral on the bill. Just wanted to go on record to let folks know that we have been working with the sponsors and the author to address a couple of technical amendments that are really important. So I don't want to discount that, but we understand that the author is going to work with us in the next committee. We've been trying to work this out for the last couple of months, so just want to make sure that folks are aware of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. White. Others in opposition or tweener? See no one? A tweener? Between? Yeah. Well, he's kind of, yes, Senator Jackson.
Thank you. Yeah, a couple of questions. I'm wondering, I have some friends in the People's Republic of Santa Barbara who like to use sort of the grease from old French fries and all this crazy kind of stuff. And actually, they claim that they get extraordinary mileage on their vehicles, and usually the air smells kind of like you're in a McDonald's, but I don't think there's any harm to that, although I'm not sure. But I'm wondering how this bill would impact things like some of these, and I don't just, I'm being a little facetious. I mean, there are
Biodiesel,
a variety of biodiesels, a variety of other options that are, I think, fairly clean, but how would this bill impact those kinds of resources?
So, and this is why it's before the Business and Professions Committee, because it deals with the weights and measures issue. There's a National Commission on Weights and Measures that is considering all of the energy sources, including alternative energy for transportation, and they're developing various stages of regulations on all parts of what they mean. So as transportation fuels for their retail sale and distribution, for their safe transportation and storage and the like. This sets up a scheme in California for the Secretary of Food and Agriculture, who oversees our county weights and measures officers, to create those, to implement those guidelines. And in lieu of those being enacted, as is reflected in the analysis, I think on the last page, second to last page of the analysis, our secretary is then able to set in interim regulations for all manner of it. So the easiest, I think, to describe would be the signage and posting requirements in a retail location for a sector of alternative fuels. But they're all parts of how we store, transport, and measure for consumer protection purposes. And it also creates standardization in the market, which we generally, except as we currently do with petroleum largely, that we appreciate that if we have standardization, we have multiple benefits, largely consumer protection and market stability. So does that answer your question?
Well, it explains the sort of the construct of this program. I'm kind of interested seriously in the alternative fuel market, and some of it's actually very innovative. I suspect some of it's very helpful, and some of it isn't.
Well, it
and I'm
needs
just wondering.
standardization. It needs standardization in order to be viable, to be able, so you can attract capital when you have a regulatory scheme that you understand, that you can deploy effectively, that has sufficient pathways to the consumer, that is clear and easily able to articulate. Right now, we have ad hoc county by county, region by region, and it is not standardized, hence why there's a national movement because
Right.
of the
But
recognition
it's-
for alternatives.
And I understand, again, process. I'm looking at a particular kind of product. Does this have as its impact either allowing or restricting various alternative
It's
fuel
neutral.
mechanisms?
It's neutral. We don't pick winners and losers. We simply say if you attempt to use this as a fuel. It doesn't say biodiesel versus natural gas versus renewable natural gas or and the like. It's neutral on that. It's just the regulatory scheme from the food and ag and weights and measures community's perspective. That's what this bill specifically speaks to. So it doesn't prohibit or pick a winner and a loser in the market. It simply says if you choose to, then this is what is
But
required.
in that process of saying what it is you have to do, will there potentially be various products that will be, just by definition of what they are, restricted from the marketplace?
As the bill is written and the amendments that we're considering, as we go through this, continue through the stakeholder process, we do not disallow various alternative fuels or clean energies, and that is not the intent of the bill. It's really to get everybody into a regulatory scheme that we can all understand, that we can all track, so that if we're concerned about safety, consumer protection, market viability, deployment, or expansion of and continued adoption of alternative fuels in particular, that there are reasonable regulatory standards and consumer protections toward that.
I understand that. I apologize. I'm trying to just get to a sense, and I've given you a silly, well, it's not a silly, some people swear by
We
this.
We do not preclude any alternative fuel, non-petroleum fuel, from participating in this regulatory scheme.
Right, I understand that, but by virtue of the various regulatory restrictions that you want to apply, sort of kind of in a blind sampling, if you will there be some of these kinds of products that will be excluded just by the very nature of the product?
That's not our
No,
intent, Mr. Chair, yeah.
Senator Jackson, I think the bill only requires that the method of sale for these fuels be consistent with a standard that's used today. So it's just
So we're just talking method of sale? That's the only thing this bill
That's all
addresses?
it's talking about.
Yeah.
It's just that there is that the method of sale, it's not defining a product, it's when the product is sold that it be consistent with the standards that are established, national standards, which is what I think the goal is, to tie them with that. It's not creating any criteria for the product itself. It's just that the standards are the same, so you can compare the two between a.
Okay. All right.
one
I
fuel
apologize.
another.
No, it's fine, I'm sorry, I didn't, thank you, Mr. Chair, for
Thank you.
making sure that we were clear.
Other questions? We have a motion from Senator Berryhill. This is to move the bill to, please call the roll. We have a motion from Senator Berryhill.
Motion.
To transportation housing,
To
thank you.
transportation and housing. Hill?
Aye.
Hill, I. Bates?
Aye.
Bates, I. Berryhill? Berryhill, I. Block? Block, I. Galgiani? Hernandez? Hernandez, I. Jackson? Mendoza? Mendoza, I. Wachowski? Wachowski, I. 7.
The bill has 7 votes. We'll hold the roll open for the absent members. Thank you very much. Assemblymember Perea, good afternoon.